Hello everyone, welcome back to a showcase today on Warframe. So, I think it's finally time I get around to this weapon. The Ignis, the flamethrower, the scourge of hell. Well, it's just a bunch of fire. Well, you burn it with fire, it will die. We've proven that much with Ember. And luckily all the purging and nerfs haven't got to her yet. Maybe they will one day. Maybe they will cripple her legs. Hopefully not. And hopefully they won't touch the Ignis as well. But it's not the most powerful weapon, but it's designed as an ultimate crowd control weapon. And it does it very nicely too. Crowd control wise, it's just a huge area of effect. You point in a general direction, you pull the trigger, it shoots fire out, it kills everything in its path. And then some. Looking at the stats though, it's not too terribly strong. It only has 27 heat. The fire rate though is plenty high, and the status charge is just as high. Now with that said, the magazine is 150, but it goes away quick. As the one big negative of this weapon, it guzzles ammo very quickly. Much like the Amprex in terms of its crowd control, but the Ignis is much farther range, almost double that range actually. Now, pretty much it's not too hard to get. If you have a clan, or you're in a clan, you can go to your guys' chemical laboratory. You'll find it in there. And the requirements for making it is actually pretty low. The barrier of entry is low for this weapon. Easy to use, hard to upgrade to be honest, because it requires a lot of stuff on it. Some stuff that would be expensive to upgrade. But otherwise, it's easy to acquire. Just titanium injector, a little bit of nanospores, ferrite, and a forma, plus credits. All pretty easy stuff that's easily afforded. So, the easiest way to describe how this weapon works, it fires in a cone shape, with the sharpest point being at you, and then the broadest point towards the enemy. So in hindsight, the closer the enemy is to you, the harder they are to hit with the flamethrower. So you want to keep at least around a 15 meter distance from your target at all times. It does have a fixed firing range, though it's hard to measure with this weapon, with all the fire in the way, but generally it goes to about 30 meters. I've sometimes hit 35. It varies. But yes, it's much longer range than the Amprex, and the cone shape makes it easy to aim at targets. You don't have to worry about them being clustered together. But closer they are, the more difficult they are to hit, so keep that in mind. So here it is, my ultimate build of my Ignis. Now I did put a catalyst and 5 formulas in this. I said it took a lot to upgrade. Now the serration and split chamber are fairly obvious, but I did have to put a primed ammo mutation, for rifles anyway. And I didn't fully upgrade it yet either, so there is room for a small improvement, but for what I use it for, it's perfect still. I don't need to upgrade that any further at the moment. Moving on from that, I did put heavy caliber on. Now don't worry about the accuracy. The accuracy is not affected. It's a flamethrower. What do you think is going to happen if you butcher the accuracy? The flame's going to hit you in the face? No, it isn't. Accuracy is not butchered by this weapon at all. So heavy caliber has no repercussions. Moving on from that, I also got Firestorm. A moderately rare mod. It's not used in very many weapons. It increases the range of fixed range for projectile, fire, explosions, that sort of thing. And the Ignis falls in that category. So that increases that original 30 meter range and puts it up to nearly 40. Which is nice. Then I got Hellfire for more fire damage, and Thermite rounds for the fire damage plus the status chance, and then High Voltage added to radiation damage. Well, radiation is simply my choice. I could have had something else, but I figured I wanted something that at least affect everyone equally. And not to mention, if they're affected with radiation in a group, they'll turn and shoot each other instead of me. Mainly, I use this weapon for huge crowd control and farming. And farming is what it does best, because you got a lot of enemies coming at you very quickly. But anyway, it's first tested on the Grenier. So we'll get 10 of these suckers. And put them to level 65. Guess the Grenier is the weakest of all 3 categories, even if it has radiation, because they don't cluster together very much. That's what this weapon relies on, is just enemy clustering. It's a crowd control. But in terms of level 65, it gets through just fine, and the radiation is almost immediate as they're hit by it. With all that status and so much ammo being pushed out at them, this is guaranteed procs at this point. but damage-wise, it's okay. Going any higher than 65, it just does too poorly. But in terms of Grineer, it's not the best weapon to take against them anyway, for the various reasons I mentioned earlier. Not to mention, they also like to fight at long range, which is also problematic for the Ignis. Usually have to close the gap before I open up. Now, moving on from them, I also chose the Corpus. They're much easier because if you take Moas, for instance, they cluster together like hives. So I'll take 20 of them, and we'll boost them up to level 75. Now, the reason why I take about Ember, though, is for the Accelerant, if I forgot to mention. That increases overall fire damage. Let's keep that in mind. So, we can see that they easily get all laid out very quickly. Any group that's together. They get all the fire, they get caught on fire, the radiation just destroys them. Very much so, and any groups that turn on each other are only trying to in the middle of a fight with me. I should have healed myself between the two matches, because I did not, and I almost paid for that. But oh well, I still made it. Now, moving on to the Infestation. This is what you normally take the Ignis for, is for these guys. Now, Radiation is not the best weapon to use against them, but it still works just fine. Now, with Infestation, they are the ultimate cluster group. They are still more likely charge at you and just cluster together, so you just burn the whole group as one. As I mentioned, Radiation is not the best thing, but it makes it pretty easy for a whole group, as you see they're chewing on each other at this point. And I don't particularly care if I get the kill or they get the kill, it doesn't matter to me. They're dead either way, and they drop their loot. That's the main point for this weapon for me, is to farm enemies, get crowd control, etc. Easily done. Alright, moving on to the pros and cons of the Ignis. Well, on the pro side, you've got, it's a flamethrower. It sets stuff on fire. It's a pretty obvious con. It's also very easy to use. And has a very high status chance, with that said. Now, on the con side, it's an ammo guzzler. The damage could be higher, but it's not too bad with the DPS. And pretty much with all that said, it's a hard to master weapon, or hard to upgrade weapon, I should say, because it does take a lot to upgrade some of those mods. Now, moving on to the score of the Ignis. Damage gets 7 out of 10. If it wasn't for that DPS and that status elemental, this would be a much lower number. Design gets 7 out of 10. For having that, about all that status, but having that gas guzzling effect and range restriction. Misk gets 7 out of 10. For having all that, pretty much it's the only flamethrower in the game, which is awesome. And having that a high status chance as well. Now, going into ammo though, ammo is where it gets kind of the lowest score of 2 out of 10. This thing guzzles ammo so quickly. It's ridiculous. And reach gets 6 out of 10. It's better than the Amprex in terms of range, and some other weapons that have fixed range. It might be the longest weapon with a fixed range though. I'd look at some numbers of that one. That's unofficial, that's not canon, maybe. Anyway, the Ignis gets, in total score, 29 out of 50, which is good. It's not the best endgame weapon. It's not the best weapon ever. It's just a really, really fun weapon to use. So yes, I won't be taking on any level 100s with it, but I will be farming a lot of those level 40s and 50s with it. Now onto the Judgment. And to be honest, the Judgment Call is a bit of bias, because I'm going to say yes, but this weapon's not for everyone. You have to really like this weapon in order to dedicate yourself to it. And also, it kind of goes in hand. You probably have to have a good Ember to make good use of it too. This Judgment's a bit skewed. It's going to be my yes, but that's not going to be a yes for everyone. You actually gotta like this weapon. You actually gotta like Ember to actually properly use it. But that's my opinion. That's Showcase for today. I thank you guys for watching, and see you next time. Take care out there. Want to see a particular weapon here on Showcase? Leave a comment down below. It might be next weapon I choose. I'd like to thank you for watching. Before you go though, Durandal does have a PS4 community page. Feel free to join if you want to have any questions or you want to chat. Anyway, thanks again for watching and take care out there.